Well, from books to movies to podcasts, there is no doubt that people are obsessed with true crime and serial killers. A new book taps into that fascination, giving readers an in-depth look at the investigation and prosecution of one of America's most notorious serial killers, Joseph DeAngelo. He's better known as the Golden State Killer. DeAngelo led a double life as a police officer and predator. He terrorized California communities for more than a decade, committing 13 known murders in the 70s and 80s, accused of raping dozens of other women before disappearing for more than 30 years. And with the help of our next guest, DeAngelo was finally arrested in 2018. He is serving life in prison. So Thien is joining us now. He was the lead prosecutor on this case. He is now the Sacramento DA. He is also the author of The People versus the Golden State Killer. So Thien, thank you for joining us. In your book, you talk about the experience of bringing this cold case to a close. There's so much new information. What can readers expect?
They're going to expect a riveting, detailed account of the investigation, the prosecution of Joseph DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer. For example, we go into great detail about how he was taken down by the body snatchers, how he was interrogated, and what he said in the interrogation room in terms of trying to set up a mental defense of a split personality that somebody else made him do it.
So you went to your boss back then, the DA, and demanded to be the one that prosecutes the Golden State Killer. Why?
You know, I wanted to really make sure that we amplify the voices of victims. You know, I've prosecuted gang cases, rape cases, murder cases, but there's nobody like Joseph DeAngelo. This was a person, like you said, that killed 13 people, raped 50 women, 120 burglaries up and down the state, and then he went dark for almost 30 years until we found him. And it's bringing justice to victims who've waited 40 years for their day in court.
Any unanswered questions in this case that still, haunt you or in the back of your mind at all?
I always get asked, why did he stop committing murders and crimes in 1986 with the murder of Janelle Cruz in Irvine? Why did he stop? And every time that somebody asks me that question, I say, what makes you think he stopped in 1986? There's a 3-year time period from 1986 to 1989 when he was in LA, and we're not sure what he was doing. I think there are more victims out there, and we're constantly trying to bring justice to people who've waited so long.
In this book, you really wanted to shift the true crime narrative from the monsters to the heroes and survivors. Why was that important for you?
A lot of times in the true crime genre, we focus on the criminal or the crimes. Here, I wanted to focus on the 4 generations of law enforcement officers that never stopped searching for him. And I also followed the authorized life of 5 different victims, what happened to them before, during, and afterwards, and how they found their voice, how they turned pain into power during the course of this case. And that's why part of the proceeds go to fund one of their nonprofits.
And you also say that this case was about providing some sort of peace for the survivors, but it was also deeply personal for you. Why is that?
I am an immigrant, a refugee. I escaped Vietnam on a fishing boat, spent 6 months in a refugee camp. And when I came to this country, I couldn't speak a word of English. I learned how to speak English by watching Bugs Bunny cartoons. 20 years later, graduated from law school. And I just wanted to give back to earn that second chance that this country gave my family and myself.
Thien, thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, The People versus the Golden State Killer is available wherever you buy your books.